What is up, producers? Welcome to Low and Candy. I am Bohemoth, and today we're going to go over the art of the drop. Now, what I mean by this is if you've ever made a drop, you have all the elements, you have the drums, you have the synth, you have everything coming together, but it's not quite impactful. There's going to be a couple little tricks I've picked up over the years that's really going to help you have that impact on the drop and really have it be present when the drop hits. So let's get right into it. Before I hopped in, I wanted to mention that I'm currently doing mentorship lessons on abletonliveteacher.com. YouTube videos are great, tutorials are great, they'll get you by for a while. But if you want to expedite your path to becoming a better producer, you need to have a one-on-one mentor. I've had about 4 or 5 over the course of my production path, and being able to ask somebody questions directly is really going to make the difference in how quick you become a better producer. Also, at this point, I'm doing new videos. I'm trying to get a new one in every day. So toss me a like and subscribe. It helps a lot. Let's get into it. All right, so here we have a pretty basic example. I just kind of toss this together to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So what's going on when you have a drop is you have obviously your build elements, which are your drum speeding up. Typically what I like to do is I like to foreshadow my drop element. And what I mean by that is whatever sound is going to be the drop synth or the drop bass or whatever it is, I like to let the listeners know that that's coming. Some of this might be common sense for some of you, but I know for me it wasn't at one point, so I'd like to share that. So, for instance, we have our synth here, and this is gonna, for this example, it's gonna kind of be like our drop sound. So what we want to do is when we're coming into the drop, we want to foreshadow that. Think of like a story of some sort where you're foreshadowing that something's coming, that a character is coming, or that an event's going to happen. And how we're going to do that is we're going to play the synth, and we're going to play it with some of the frequencies cut out and maybe with some reverb or some washout. So it's sounding like it's coming from the back and it's coming closer to us. So it'll sound something like this. So we can hear it's coming, we know what it is, we can tell, it sounds like it's getting closer to us, and then once the drop hits, then we get all of it. The next element obviously would be the drums. So we have like our building drums here, and what we're gonna do here is I automated reverb at the beginning, so again, sounds like they're kind of far away and they're getting pushed and pulled closer to us. And there's a lot of ways you can do your drums, especially your build drums. You can do a delay, you can add a reverb. Again, you can do a filter, but a little bit of reverb and then kind of easing out of it really helps to kind of bring it. So that way, when the drums hit, they're impactful and they're right in front of your face. They're no longer wet with reverb and pushed in the back. The next thing, anytime I'm doing a drop at all, you always want that white noise. Pretty much, I mean, any track I do in almost any transition, some very subtle white noise in the back really helps that transition kind of pull together. So in this one, we have just a cymatic sweep almost. So it's gonna kind of be like a... As part of the drop, we have our 808. Now, this is just the first half of what's very important about having your drop sound impactful. Maybe you've gotten this far before and it just didn't sound impactful when it hit. This is probably why right here. So we're going to go to our master. And what we're going to do is we're going to automate a utility. And what we're going to do is we're going to narrow out the sound. We're going to turn it down and we're going to remove the lobes coming into the drop. So what we're doing is very subtly, something you actually can't even hear audibly, we're reducing the track by about 2 dB over the course of a bar or two. What that does is it allows us for more headroom for when the drop hits to bring that back in. And although we didn't really notice that those couple dBs were being taken away from us, it's very impactful when we bring it back and we put it back at 0. What else we're doing is we're narrowing the sound down. So it's getting more mono and more mono. We're taking out more of the stereo image, and then that way Again, once the drop hits, we give the stereo image back, and it's giving the illusion that it's getting smaller and smaller and quieter and more narrow. Then the drop hits, we bring the stereo image back out. The last thing, like I was mentioning, is what we want to do is we want to subtly and almost unnoticeably cut out all the lows of our track. That's because when our drop hits, we want that 808 to be as impactful as possible. Everything's got to be the loudest at the point of the track. You have to have the most bass. And by subtly nudging out the lows, again, once they come in, it makes it very impactful. So it's subtle, but let's take a listen to these on and off. So this is without them. So I mean, it still hits with the 808 and everything coming in, but it's not exciting and there's not enough difference in the dynamics and the loudness. So now if we pop both of these on, so again, pretty subtle, but that's kind of the whole point of this, is to have subtly the narrowing, subtly the volume going down and the lows coming out. And then that way you can kind of just give them back to the listener all at once. So I hope this helps someone. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.